Hi, you guys. I'm Phil Town from Rule One Investing, and today I want to tell you how to make the most of investing in your 30s. The time value of compound interest simply can't be overstated. If you begin putting aside $5,000 per year in your 30s, you could easily expect to generate $1 million by the time you retire at 65 years old without even doing anything spectacular. Meanwhile, someone who doesn't start saving until their 40s will need to set aside 3 times this annual amount to achieve the same $1 million at age 65. 3x. But competing demands on your time and money in your 30s can make it really tough to save as much as you should. When choosing between saving for financial freedom, which ideally will come like tomorrow, or getting a new house, adding to your family, going back to school, man, you are going to feel that current expenses should always take the priority. We all do. Fortunately, there are some things you can do to ensure that your money continues to work for you and can drive you closer and closer to that day when you get to do what you want in your life to be the most productive you that there could be. So let's talk about how to best achieve this delicate balance between living now and meeting the demands of today and investing for financial freedom, which we want to come as soon as possible. So first, you can turn your raises into savings. For many 30-somethings, this decade marks the first time that you start to break out of a kind of certain income bracket, and you might achieve a coveted career position that's going to pay you more. And while it's natural to want to celebrate these advances in your career, believe me, I know, one of the best things you can do with a raise is to, after you go out for a nice big celebratory dinner, increase your 401k withholding if you're doing a 401k, if your company matches it, or get an IRA cranked up and start investing it. By minimizing the amount your take-home pay increases after each raise, keeping the belt tight, you can avoid lifestyle creep while also increasing your savings rate. Now, this is ultimately going to end up with the biggest lifestyle change you can imagine, and that is called financial freedom. The 30s decade is when many college and grad students finally pay off their student loans. Woohoo! Done. Well, guess what? Reroute your former student loan payment to other debt, getting rid of that, or better yet, invest it in an IRA or a tax-free account of some sort for another pain-free method of savings. So you can see where I'm going. What I did that made me successful was that number one, I learned Rule One investing, and number two, as a river guide, I'd learned to live out of a box this big that held everything I owned, okay? Just a waterproof bag like that. Everything I owned. And I didn't let lifestyle creep bring me into an expensive lifestyle. As I was building up my capital, I kept making it available for investing by trying to live that same old $4,000 a year lifestyle that I'd been in for many years. So let's see what else we can do. Hey, we can roll over that old 401k. If you're still carrying around one or more 401k accounts from a prior employer, and by the time you're in your 30s, you're going to have a prior employer in the new world where you stick around 3 or 4 years in a general job, it's usually a good idea to roll these over into an IRA. Okay? So an individual retirement account are much more flexible when it comes to investing your money, which is where you can start to apply Rule One strategy and start jacking up that rate of return to get to financial freedom sooner. Many company 401k plans have fewer offerings and higher fees than those that are available at large brokerage firms. So getting the money into one account can give you access to a lot higher range of investments, a lot wider range of investments at a lot lower cost, man. Those costs in your 401k will kill you. In fact, John Bogle, who runs Vanguard, found out that if you stick with a standard 401k in a standard corporation, the fees that they charge you in that 401k will remove 60% of your retirement account. Screwy. That's just completely nuts. Don't do that. Get it out of there. Start investing it on your own. Third, keep your eye on your credit. Your credit score doesn't just affect your ability to access credit, it impacts the interest rates you're offered, especially for that big purchase that a lot of people do in their 30s. If your credit score is low, you may have to pay double or more the interest rate offered to consumers with high credit scores, even if you have the same ability to repay. Okay? There are many free sites that allow you to monitor your credit score on a daily, on a weekly basis. Some credit cards will offer a score snapshot as a perk associated with that account. And don't forget, you can request a free official copy of your credit report once a year from each of the 3 main reporting bureaus by visiting annualcreditreport.com. Believe me, that big purchase in your 30s, a house, is going to be real important that you have good credit. I mean, can you imagine setting up a 30% or a 30-year loan with a 30% higher mortgage rate than if you have great credit? Very scary. Fourth, set short-term and long-term goals. It can be really tempting to live in the moment. I got it, especially when you're keeping the belt tight, trying to get to your 30s, especially when you're feeling really financially squeezed. But keeping your eye on both short and long-term goals is a really good way to make sure that the actions you take now don't have a disproportionate impact on your future. And be careful with using the word goals. When I say goals, what I want you to think is a promise to yourself. Goals are really, really tough. A lot of people have a goal to lose weight. A lot of people have a goal to work out. Okay. I went down in my basement and took a look at my workout log. It said March, right? March of 2014. So it's been a while because I have a goal. And now that I have a goal, I have the intention, and the road to hell is paved with good intentions. And this is why. A goal can kind of make you feel like you're already a good person. Oh, I have a goal to see you for dinner at 6 o'clock. It's my goal. Am I going to be there? I don't know. At least I made you feel better. So goals are kind of wimpy, actually. So if you're talking about your family, your desire for financial freedom, your desire to see your children live a better life than you, your desire to see the kind of life where you can live your dharma, you can have a contribution to the world where money is not an issue, then you may want to pay a lot of attention to putting promises out there as opposed to goals. Now, if you want to refinance your mortgage, if you want to make home repairs while taking advantage of potentially very low interest rates, then really having great credit is important. Look, it's tempting to stretch out mortgage payments for another 30 years, take that money and do something, go on a vacation. But that could make it tougher to sell your house, right? You don't have any equity in it. Might make it tougher to downsize if you're hoping to have financial freedom and you want to keep the belt tight. Instead, you might consider accelerating payments on your house. You might consider refinancing for a shorter term. Go from 30 years to 15 maybe, so you'll have more flexibility down the road. It all depends on your interest rates. In general, what I think is, what do I look at as my rate of return that I can consistently get in the market? Let's say 15% or better. And what am I paying in interest on this loan? Let's say 3%. That's a pretty much of a no-brainer. I get a 12% split right there. So I want to do the investing. If on the other hand, I've got credit cards at 15, 18%, I got to pay those off. There's no way I'm going to try to make enough return consistently to beat an 18% credit card. All right, next, rethink your budget. When you become more comfortable in your career and your personal life, it's the easiest thing in the world to relax that former iron grip on your household budget. But falling prey to lifestyle creep is the worst thing. It can mean sometimes the difference of paying hundreds of dollars per month on things that don't improve your life. That can be things like extended warranties, seldom used box store membership fees. These things add up. Take stock of your subscriptions, magazines, audiobook sites, streaming services, annual credit card fees, all these small but recurring costs. Look at your credit card bill and see where they are. Automated. You might find stuff on there you didn't even know was there. But these recurring costs, you cut them out, you're cutting fluff out of your budget without much of an impact on your day-to-day life. Imagine just $100, you guys. $100 doesn't sound like much. That's $1,000 a year. If you're making 15%, let's say, heck, what the heck, let's dream a little. Let's say you're doubling that every 3 years. That $1,000 1-year thing you saved right there, in 3 years becomes $2,000. In 6 years, it's $4,000. In 9 years, it's $8,000. In 12, it's $16,000. In 15 years, it's $32,000. In 18 years, it's $64,000. In 21 years, it's $128,000. In 24 years, it's $250,000. And what? In 27 years, it's $500,000. And in 30 years, it's $1 million. In other words, in your 30s, you save one $1,000 chunk and invest that at a high rate of return, which as a Rule 1 investor is possible for you to get. That $1,000 is $1 million when you are 65 years old. Think about that. So that is worth looking at and figuring out if you can get some little bit of money every month into an account that you can save. Look, even just a deep dive into your household budget could reveal you might be better off buying a house, a more expensive house, in a really good public school district where the public schools are just as good as the private schools, instead of paying 12 years of private school tuition for, let's say, 2 kids at $25,000 a year. That could buy you a beautiful house in a beautiful neighborhood with great, wealthy neighbors, and you pay for the whole thing just by being aware that getting to a good school district could save that money. Or think about this. You could switch from a high deductible health plan where you're paying for the privilege of picking any doctor you want over to a preferred provider organization, a PPO, if they have doctors that you really think are good. You could save thousands in out-of-pocket expenses each year. And by the way, the federal government is just right now given permission for associations to build these very organizations and knock healthcare costs down aggressively. If that happens, keep the belt tight, take that extra capital, and get it into an investment that you can make money on for the rest of your life. Now, what I'd love to do is hear from you guys. Have you started investing? Or are you still just spending more money as your lifestyle improves? Leave a comment below, guys, with your answer, and I'll be sure to follow up with you. Now, thanks for watching. Time to go play. If you enjoyed this video and you feel it was valuable in teaching you more about investing in your 30s, hit the like button and please share this video with your friends. And if you want more investing content to learn how to do that, subscribe to my channel. Don't forget to click the button on the screen, by the way, to get a free gift. And thanks again for watching.